I'm just grateful that it's happened. To be honest with you, I mean, there's a lot of people that do not get closure. There's a lot of families that are still looking for their missing children, and there's a lot of murderers that are still
She
out
was
there.
just 16. Her name was Jholie Moussa. On a cold Friday in January 2018, she walked out of her family's home in Alexandria, Virginia. She told her twin sister she would be right back. She didn't take a suitcase. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't leave a note. She simply stepped outside and never came back. It was supposed to be a normal day. There was no fight, no warning, no sign of trouble. But once she was gone, the hours passed, and then the days followed, and something didn't feel right. Her family waited. Then they searched. Then they broke. What started as a missing girl became something far darker. Her mother called out to the world. Her sister begged strangers for help. Her father came home early, hoping to find her safe. Flyers were taped to every street corner. Her photo spread online. Police got involved. But still, no one could find Jholie. The story that began with a quiet walk out the door would soon turn into heartbreak, fear, and something that would haunt her family forever. Jholie was born on the first day of spring in 2001. She came into the world with her twin sister Zayn, and from the beginning, the two were never apart. They laughed together. They grew up side by side. One heart, two bodies. She lived between two homes, one in Texas, one in Virginia. Her parents had separated, but she was loved in both places. She and her sister shared everything. Same birthday, same schools, same inside jokes. Their bond was deep, the kind people noticed right away. Jholie loved words. She filled notebooks with stories. She wrote songs and sang them with her sister. Sometimes she would sit alone with her thoughts and turn them into lyrics. Other times she would record little videos with her voice, soft and steady, trying to capture something real. As she got older, her style changed. She wore her hair in braids that danced with color. Her eyebrows were neat, her clothes bold but simple. She had a quiet confidence, the kind that didn't shout but still stood tall. People saw her, not just for how she looked, but for who she was becoming. On their 16th birthday, she and Zayn got matching tattoos, a small infinity symbol, a promise of forever. It was their way of saying, we'll never lose each other. But forever doesn't always last, and sometimes a bright light fades too soon. It was a Friday afternoon, January 12th, 2018. The sky was quiet. The house in Alexandria was calm. Jholie was there, helping her twin sister with her hair. But something felt off. She kept looking at her phone. Her fingers moved quickly. She was focused, distracted, like her mind was somewhere else. Then she stood up. She said she'd be back soon, just stepping out, just for a little while. She didn't say where. She didn't seem scared. She didn't pack a bag. Her charger stayed behind. The door closed behind her and she was gone. At first no one panicked. Maybe she was out with friends. Maybe she needed space. But time kept moving and Jholie didn't return. Later that evening a message appeared. It came from her Snapchat account. It said she was going to a party in Norfolk, but Norfolk was far, hours away, and no one knew about any party. The friend she supposedly stayed with hadn't seen her. Nothing made sense. Her sister waited, then worried. Her mother tried calling, but the phone didn't ring. It was off, dead, silent. By morning, the fear started to build, and by evening it became something else entirely, a feeling no mother should ever have, a quiet knowing that something had gone terribly
His
wrong.
mother, the guilty plea brings some closure to a long, painful year and a half.
I'm just grateful that it's happened. To be honest with you, I mean, there's a lot of people that do not get closure. There's a lot of families that are still looking for their missing children, and there's a lot of murderers that are still. They want to believe that he loves you and that he's going to be there for you, and he would never, yeah, he gets angry, but he'd never do this. I think that she didn't realize the danger that.
Where do you think she went?
I honestly feel like it's battered woman syndrome, and I think it's more common than people think. Women tend to run back to the abusers for a multitude of reasons, but all of it has to do with manipulation. They feel like they're the reason why he does what he does. Because I knew that was an issue. She kept on saying, I feel like I ruined his life because he can't come to our school anymore.
Because that's kind of how it happened.
She would say stuff like that.
Ebrahim was kicked out of Mount Vernon High School after he was charged with assaulting Jholie. He was ordered to stay away from her. Now the family knows he was not doing that.
He was stalking her, and he harassed her, and it was a lot of phone calls from different phone numbers.
And you all did not realize the hold he had on her,
No.
the emotional hold.
No.
Jholie's mother and sister now live in Texas, where Janae has been part of a play about domestic violence. Her mom says she even helped a friend out of an abusive situation.
You intervened with the knowledge that you have now.
Yeah.
And saved your friend.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Mom?
I was there with her, so.
She helped me help her.
Yeah, I was there. I think that it's absolutely wonderful because it makes me feel like she didn't go in vain. Like her death she just wasn't another number.
But even
The
after
hours
all
turned
that,
into
he
days,
blamed her.
and the
He said
silence
she
grew
ruined
heavier.
his future,
Jolie's mother flew
his
in from
reputation,
Texas, her heart
his
pulled
entire
by
life.
something she couldn't
He
explain.
didn't take accountability.
Her father,
He
already
stewed
back
in it.
home, stood in the
And he didn't
yard
let
staring
go.
at the door,
In December
hoping she would walk
2017,
through it.
just a month before she
Zane,
disappeared,
her twin,
Jholie
couldn't
told her
sleep.
sister that
She kept
Nebiyu
checking her
had
phone
strangled
over
her
and
again.
over, waiting for a
She
call
said he
that never
attacked
came.
her until she
The
lost
house no longer
consciousness
felt
again.
like home.
When
It
she
felt like
came
a
to,
wound.
he thought she was dead
Flyers were
and
printed.
had even texted a
Streets
friend
were
saying
walked.
he needed
Her
to find
photo
a place
covered
to
every
hide.
pole,
I know
every
what it
bus
feels
stop,
like to die,
every
she
store
told
window.
Zane.
Friends shared
Zane
her
made her
face across
promise
the
to
internet.
stay away from him,
The family went
and
on
Jholie
TV.
said she would.
They spoke with
But
trembling
just weeks
voices.
later,
They cried
she
on
was gone.
camera, but not for
I'm here in
attention,
Alexandria
only for
with
hope.
the Moussa family.
They
This
searched
is
wooded
Janae.
trails.
And
They
she's
asked
the twin
neighbors.
sister
They
of
followed every
Jholie.
lead.
And
A
Jholie
13-year-old
went
boy
missing
said a
on
strange man
Friday
had borrowed
afternoon,
his
right?
phone
So,
to make a
Janae,
call.
why don't you tell us what happened?
That number led back to Jholie. The time matched. The clothes he described stood out, but no one knew who the man was. Still, the police didn't treat
She's
it like
fixing
a
your hair.
kidnapping. They said she left on her own. They called her a runaway, but her family knew better. This wasn't who she was. She wouldn't
So she's
disappear
texting-
without
she's
saying
texting
something.
somebody,
She wouldn't vanish
and you don't know who that is.
without
Actually,
her
she's
charger.
Snapchatting.
She
She's not
wouldn't leave her
texting, because
sister
if she were
waiting.
texting, they
They
could
didn't
see
care
what she
about
was
who
saying,
was
but
at
it's
fault.
Snapchat.
They didn't want punishment. They just wanted her home. They
you don't know
begged
who
the
this person
world to
is.
look for her the way they did, like she mattered, like she was still out there, because in their hearts she was. At first, the police didn't move quickly, because Jholie had walked out the front door. They called it a runaway. No signs of struggle, no broken glass, no blood. Just a
back real
girl
quick.
who
So
left,
we have
but her family
video of,
refused to
her
believe
sister
that.
Jholie
They pressed for
walking out
answers.
the front door.
They knocked on
You've
doors.
had
They
that
pulled
video.
her
We'll have to
phone
post that on
records.
Facebook in a
And
little
that's
bit.
when strange
And,
things began to surface.
and that was Friday
Someone
afternoon
had
around
called her
4:45,
phone
right?
on the day she
She never
vanished.
came back.
It wasn't from a number
Has she
anyone
ever done anything like
recognized.
this before?
It came from a
Never.
borrowed phone.
Ever.
A
She's never run
13-year-old
away, never
boy
anything.
had handed his device to a man he didn't know. Tall, dark-skinned, twisted
That's
hair,
like if your
blue
phone- your
Jordans.
phone
The
died.
man used it once, then walked away. That call reached Jholie. That was the last
So this is
successful
what's
call
really
her
unusual
phone
this
ever
time, is
received.
that
Her family
she
told the
does not
police
have her
everything.
phone.
They
The phone's
gave
not
names.
working.
They
She
gave
hasn't
timelines.
charged
They
her
shared her
phone.
past,
She doesn't
especially
have
her history
control.
with a boy who had
And there
once
was
hurt
also,
her.
and
A
her mom
boy
is
she
right
once
here,
loved.
Sharita.
A boy the court
She's
had already
coming from
ordered to stay
Texas.
away.
Yeah.
Still,
And you've
nothing
flown in
moved
from
fast.
Texas
Leads
because you're very
piled up.
concerned.
Yes,
Confusion
yes.
grew.
I'm
The
very
Snapchat
concerned
message,
because this is
the
not
one
like
about going to a
Jholie.
party
This is
in
not like
Norfolk,
her to,
didn't match anything. It was a lie. Her supposed friend
This is
hadn't
not-
seen her. There was no party.
This is not
The
like
police
her
kept
to,
searching, but days were
to
passing,
not call
and hope
or
was
let anyone
fading.
know where she is. I mean, there has
Then
even
they
been a time
returned to
where,
the park near the high school.
you know,
They had already
she
searched
was
it once,
nervous and she
but
didn't
this
know where she
time
was,
they
and she
went
maybe
deeper.
have thought, oh, I shouldn't
And what
have been
they
there, but she
found
still called us.
changed
Even
everything.
in her phone.
13 days had passed. The posters were still hanging. The candles from the vigils had melted to the bottom of their jars. The air was colder now, heavier. Her family still searched, but something in their hearts had started to dim. Then the police went back to Woodlawn Park. It was quiet that morning. Trees stood bare, and frost clung to the leaves. They had searched the park before, but this time they moved differently. They looked beneath the brush, beneath the soil, and there she was, hidden beneath branches, covered in leaves, still, cold. She had been found less than a mile from her front door. News cameras arrived. Yellow tape circled the trees. Officers moved. Slowly. Reporters whispered updates through microphones. The name Jholie Moussa spread again, but this time not with hope. This time it was with sorrow. The park became sacred ground. Strangers stopped to cry. Neighbors left flowers. Her family, broken but brave, stood in silence. It was no longer a search. It had become a goodbye. Her name had been spoken on news stations. Her photo had been shared by thousands. Her body had been found in the cold dirt, but one question remained. Who did this? The clues were there. The strange phone call, the Snapchat message, the history of abuse. Her ex-boyfriend's name kept coming. Up, Nebiyu Ebrahim. He had once loved her, then hurt her, then said he had moved on. He told police he hadn't seen her. He told her family he had nothing to do with it. But something felt wrong. In August, months after her death, detectives sat him down again. They asked more questions. They watched his hands. They listened to his voice. He tried to lie at first. But after hours, the truth began to slip through the cracks. He admitted it. He told them that he met her at the park on the day she went missing. He was angry. She had said she was going to a party. She hadn't invited him. She was moving on. And that, to him, was too much. He said he choked her until she passed out. Then he did it again, then a third time, until her body went still, until he knew she wasn't coming back. He left her there under the trees. Then, days later, he came. Back with a knife. Dug a shallow grave. Tried to cover what he had done. He used her phone to send a fake message, one last lie, to send her family looking in the wrong direction. And before it all, he had searched online how long it takes to choke someone to death. The boy they once thought was charming, the boy teachers praised, the boy who said he loved her. That was the one who ended her life.
Take it with them. If her phone gets turned on, even with just data, and like if the cellular part is turned off, like if it's in airplane mode. But as long as she connects to a Wi-Fi, they can track her.
Right.
So it hasn't been on, period.
So if she's out there somewhere watching this, what do you want to say to her?
You're not in trouble.
Hopefully you're fine,
Just
you're okay.
come home.
If you are under your own will, please come home.
Please.
If you are not, hopefully whoever who sees this has compassion to let her come home. We won't press any charges. We just want her home.
Thank you. I know it's very, very, very stressful, and they're just doing whatever they can. The police told them to continue to post on Facebook, to reach out, to try to do whatever they can to find their daughter. There's just so many mysteries here. There's also another crazy thing about there's some 13-year-old boy's phone called their daughter's phone.
Right.
And they went and talked to the 13-year-old boy. He lives here in the neighborhood. And tell me what the 13-year-old boy said, Sarita. Do you know that?
He spoke
you
directly
talked to
with
him.
him.
You spoke directly to him. Okay.
The 13-year-old boy, yeah, we called him yesterday. He said that he was at a basketball court and
Nearby here, right.
Actually a couple of blocks down the road, at Skyview. That's the name of the basketball court. And the 13-year-old boy said a gentleman that he had never seen before, 6 foot tall, dark skinned black guy with twist in his hair. I mean, the kid got really specific.
Yeah, he had a white T-shirt,
T-shirt,
blue Air Jordans, right? Blue.
He had a white and black plaid T-shirt. He had a black backpack. He had blue and white Air Jordan. Jordans on, and blue ripped jeans.
And he's the man who used this boy's phone and then called your daughter.
Correct. So the last person who actually called my daughter was this boy's cell phone.
And you know that because you've been on Verizon, you've been on the account to see who called her.
Right. We have her message logs and her call logs pulled down. And the last person who actually successfully called her and she picked up was this 12-year-old boy's cell phone. But it wasn't him who made the call. It was some guy who was playing basketball who came up to him and said, hey, can I use your phone?
And that's really concerning to you, isn't it?
Yeah, because that tells me that whoever was calling her purposely didn't want to use either his own phone or, was trying to bypass being identified. That's plain
The courtroom
simple.
was quiet
The
but
odds
heavy.
that a teenager
The
doesn't have
boy
their
who
phone
once
on
smiled
at that
in
time.
school photos
What's that
now
odds?
sat in
How
silence,
old was this
chained at the
person?
wrists, eyes low.
Again,
He
the
had
teenage
confessed.
boy,
The
the
lies
12-year-old
had
boy
run
who
out.
described what
The
the guy
court
looked
had heard
like,
everything.
He didn't know the age.
Abuse,
He just
the
said
plan,
he was about 6
the
foot
cover-up,
tall.
the grave.
Had twists
He was
in
only
his hair, dark
17
skin.
when he killed her. But the law looked at the weight of what he did, not just his age.
Is it possible that
The
your
judge
daughter's
listened,
just,
then spoke.
Nebiyu
Nebiyu Ebrahim was sentenced
go
to
away,
99
now
years
she
in
was
prison.
worried she's in
There were no
trouble.
cheers,
Isn't that
no
possible?
joy,
Well, so,
just
you know,
stillness.
obviously you think that
her
the
family
first
sat in the
night,
room, holding
And
one
you think
another.
that maybe even the
Some
second
cried,
night.
some stared
The problem
ahead.
is there's
Her twin
no
sister stood and spoke,
issues
not with anger,
home-wise that would
but
have made
with
her do that.
strength. She
has-
had lost
her
the
grades
other
are
half of
phenomenal,
herself,
her relationship
but she
with her
would not
sister is
lose her
great.
voice.
she has a
Her
twin
mother
sister? She has a
watched
twin
as
sister
her
right
voice
here.
taken
Met her
away.
earlier.
Their
It
mother
didn't
lives
bring
in
Jholie
Texas,
back.
but
Yeah.
they
It
live here
didn't
with me, and
erase
their
the
mother's always in
pain,
communication
but it
with them.
was
Constant
something.
communication.
A small piece of
I know that
justice
she
in a
had,
world that had felt so
ex-boyfriend that she was
unfair.
going through some
The
issues
sentence
with,
was final,
and,
but the grief
but
was
she
not.
ended up-
The house was quieter now.
that
Her
issue
bed
kind of-
stayed made.
Are you
Her
hope-
shoes
now
untouched.
he's been talked
Her
to,
voice,
right?
once
He's been
heard
talked to
singing through the
by the
halls,
police,
had
by
gone
myself.
still. But her
He
family
doesn't fit the
refused to let her
description of
story end
the
there.
guy who
They
used
took
the
their
cell
pain
phone.
and turned it into something
not
with purpose.
dark-skinned,
They created
light-skinned
a non-profit.
black-
They called
black
it
guy.
Yeah.
The Importance
but,
of You.
you know,
It was made to protect
we're
other
hoping that
girls,
the police doesn't rule him
to
out,
teach teens
because
what abuse
either
looks
he-
like, to help them
if he was
spot
not
the
the
warning
person who
signs
used the phone to
early,
call my
to make
daughter,
sure
maybe
no
he-
family would ever
who
have to
knows?
bury their daughter
But my point
because
is,
of
there's nothing
silence or
home-wise
shame.
that would cause her to run away.
Jolie's name
Right.
became
So,
more than a
you know,
headline. It became a
Saturday
call
night,
to
we were-
action.
we were concerned,
At
but we were
schools,
still
they
like,
spoke
okay,
to
if
students.
she did,
At
she should
community
come back.
events, they handed out
Right.
flyers.
She's
They
never been
told
away
the
from home
truth,
for more than
even when it
5
hurt
Now,
to
when-
say out loud.
When
Her
did y'all
mother,
call police?
Her sister,
We
her
called
grandmother,
police
all
on
of them poured
Saturday
their heartbreak
evening
into
around
something
5.
bigger than themselves.
So
People
the-
You
listened.
just figured she was going to come out
And even
because she'd
though
said she
Jholie
was going to a
gone,
friend's house.
her voice
This is
began
why
to
they
echo
didn't
again.
call immediately,
Through
right?
classrooms,
That too, but also
through conversations, through every
her
young
sister
person
knew
who chose to
the
walk
truth.
away from
That she
someone
wasn't
who
at
made them
friend's
feel
house.
She wasn't at
small
friend's house.
But
or
she was
unsafe.
hiding that secret,
The
thinking
tattoo
everything
she
was
shared
going to be
with her
fine.
sister,
So
Right.
when
the
her sister
infinity
stopped
symbol,
being able
was
to
supposed to
communicate
mean
with
forever.
her
That's
sister.
what
Now
was really alarming.
it does.
That was what
Because her
Because
story
if
doesn't
if
end
her
with
sister wouldn't have said
her
anything,
death.
we would
It
have thought,
continues
okay,
in
well,
every life her
she's still at
memory
friend's
helps
house, 'cause
save.
It was still, that's plain simple.